G'day, g'day, g'day. It's Mathematical KM or Keith Mullumby. Remember their initials, not a title. Coming to you with the 2025 Canberra Chess Club Charity Cup Round 2. It's 60 minutes plus 30 seconds a move. Up against Sven, who's 15-13, and I'm 14-64. So a little bit uphill, but we're not that far different. Let's get this out of the way. Now, I did watch Solomon Goodell, the Chess Giants thing on what meaning or meaninglessness the different categories of move chess.com gives you. Don't think he talked too much about the accuracy, but he talked more about these things. But for what it's worth, it's indicative of where I'm at with the water horse or the hippo at the minute. That, by the way, there were 30 tables playing, and our game, me and Sven, was the third last to finish. So it was a long, hard-fought, quite the arm wrestle. Definitely World War I in the trenches, not anything faster. Having said all of that, no misses, no blunders, pretty good. Think I know about the mistake and the need to get rid of just a few inaccuracies from my play. 81%. My opponent, Sven, 89.5%. Had a brilliancy, a great move. But more to the point, well done, Sven. No inaccuracies, mistakes, misses or blunders. He played quite well. 2400 to 2250. Not sure I believe either of those. 96 in the opening. 91. Not the worst. 91 in the middle game and 79 in the middle game. So yeah, that's where the inaccuracies will have been happening. So it is an interesting game to look at, and I think I can definitely see some of the things, areas where I can make improvements, right from now. So let's go. He takes the centre there with the D-pawn opening. Standard for the hippo. Okay, didn't see too much of white going with the C and D pawns in the hippo course of Solomon's, but on the other hand, he does quite a lot of work on the EDC, the three-pawn centre. But for now, we'll keep going with the book move, getting that bishop fianchettoed. I thought with the C pawn already being there that I'd go, there's an inaccuracy. Should I have played the D pawn? Not sure. That's not an inaccuracy I'm that unhappy with. And I think that and now the D pawn follows. So getting a real grip here. And actually the fight for C5, it's not going to be the title for this video, but there was a big fight for C5. He wants to play it. I want to stop him from playing it. And in the end, I should have let him. That could be a better title. Okay. And now we've got the three-pawn centre on the queen side, something more familiar with the hippo. So, and you can play the hippo against the three-pawn, so we're setting it up. He castles, get the knights into the middle. Okay, he's played the D-pawn forward. The Lego move of straightforward. The eval at the moment, typically it's the +1 is from the greatest space. That's normal for white to have around about that at the moment. Now I've taken I really would like to not use my D-pawn as a defender in taking back were he to play C5. So in a way, I've only got the one, and now he's given himself a B-pawn defender. Very much in the mind. I wouldn't have minded, with his king being on the king side, if it had all become totally locked up if he'd played B5. That's what I wanted him to play. He was never going to. Anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about at that point in time. And of course the standard hippo move gives me two defenders. So at the moment, if he comes forward, I take, he takes, I take back. I've still got my nice pawn chain, and what's more, I've got a knight developed. So big fight over that square. That would, if I take, let's take this back. The fight for this square was pretty intense. If he was a play forward, and I take him back, then he takes me back, then I've got a hanging bishop. Should I then move my bishop, who knows where, then his pawn can damage my pawn chain. So that move comes with a threat. I decided computer liked that one. Trying to encourage him to play b5. So it's all locked up over here. I can maybe castle queenside and attack on the king side. That's what I was hoping for. He's not going to let that happen, but at the minute, he needs to react. It's a very good move. Now, if I take him, he takes me back, and this whole area, the situation is unchanged. And he's still pretty much ready to play c5, and I'll still have that bishop problem. Now, if should he take me? I could probably take back with a rook. What another central? That'd be brilliant. I'd love that. So he's unlikely to do that. The bishop is a problem if he plays that forward. So just looking at the second best move the computer is suggesting is bishop to c8, getting the bishop out of the way so that my two defenders can do their work and he doesn't get to defend my beautiful pawn chain. h6, ignoring what's going on over there. Well, it's the worst by ×2. Not really sure what's going on with that one. And this is where I should have... He's flinging everything here. He's definitely attacking on the queen side. My dreams of sealing the queen side and then attacking on the king side are probably not going to come to fruition. And it's at this point in time. Solomon does talk about in his course, I'll put a link in the description, that it's a very good idea not to castle immediately, but when you can see where white's going to attack, that's time to castle. And castling now, and then all of a sudden I don't mind so much using that d pawn. Now I've got three defenders. If the c5 becomes a little more meaningless, and we both now need to look at the king side a bit more. I'll probably be following up with like h6 and king h7, that sort of thing. That's the woulda, coulda, shoulda moment. And what did I play? I mean, it's jumped up a little, the eval, but I think it's because it's not bad, but it's not real good. Sure, I've got an open file, but very, very soon I'm going to spend about a third of a game with two major pieces, and really wanting that rook. I needed to have castled earlier. Anyway, we'll see that happen. Computer didn't mind that. That's so that should he play c5, I've got my defenders there, and hoping that I can just swap his attacking bishop off. In itself, not the worst idea, but really should have castled, and you can see the castling needed to be done. So he's activating that bishop to make it more of an attacking piece over there. For me, castling second best, and we're starting to look at +1.5 and not the 0.8 for the, making the castling move. That gets, what are you doing? It's offering a open file to my opponent, which he takes. What am I doing? Am I going to put my rook straight back? It's just letting my opponent develop for no real reason there. So instead of and stubbornness, perhaps might be the stubbornness killed me. Another dodgy move, refusing to put my rook back because I'd just shifted it. I instead moved my queen. So my queen's now protecting the bishop. And for what it's worth, I've now got 1, 2, 3. But potentially the queen's also a bit more support on the G. He's looking to double the rooks, and he's going to argue with me about that bishop, and he's going to win the argument. He's going to get 3 major pieces protecting it, and I can only really get 2. I haven't got the chance to castle. Even now, castling is the top choice to try and get 3. Because this is that last little bit of extra moment in time, tempo, where I've got a free tempo, where I can castle, get the 3 pieces and try and get them around. Combobulate them. If discombobulate is a word, I need to combobulate. Instead, it's a bit of a nothing move at the moment. You don't need h6 until there's a queen and a bishop on that diagonal. Computer didn't mind it, but on the other hand, how is it not minding it? The eval's jumped to 2.5. Which is interesting given that we've both only lost a pawn. He's moved his rook forward because he doesn't want his queen to be the most forward major piece in that attack on the bishop down there. Computer's still telling me to build that castle. That may end up being the title. Build the castle. And sure, Keith, what are you doing? Counter-attacking on the other side, but I don't think I can ignore what's happening over here. The A file. Right, we've got 2 pieces on the bishop. Even now, admit you've lost the argument and move the bishop back is the second best move. I've got 2 pieces protecting, he's got 2 attacking, but that's the actual mistake, and I really should have given up, moved the bishop back, tried to castle. You can see how I started okay, but no actual blunders, but I'm walking deeper and deeper. Now it's up to +5, even though there's only 1 pawn gone on each side. I'm still fighting what is a losing argument. That's a great move. And the best I can do is to take the thing back. And the reason it's a great move, and you're about to see me fall right into it, is if I don't take it... number 1, he now has 3 pieces on the bishop. Maybe knight to b8. Even then, that would give me 3 protectors, but he could then move that pawn forward, protected by the knight. Should have got out of this argument a long time ago. And what was a good move before he moved his pawn forward, if he then moved his pawn forward, I could have taken it. But if I move my bishop back now, then how good is that pawn fork? So, I demonstrated that. And it was given good as a good move in an already terrible situation. That's how it's not a blunder. And you'll note that even now, build that castle. is the best move. It's quite weird. I wonder what the high... Ask ChatGPT if it might know. What the highest eval with only one pawn taken from each side. How bad can you situate yourself? But no, not a record I want to challenge. Anyway, so what did I do? Almost the equivalent of castling. I've now got my three major pieces fighting for the A8 square. But I have, of course, gone down a minor piece. Which one? That one. And let's see how... Up to move 21, and I think it goes to move 40 something, so down a piece. Bit of decent kicking and screaming to come. Okay, he's got his triple gun going over there, and the best thing I can do is to get rid of a pair of rooks. 4.5 versus 6.5. Played. Okay. Now, knight f6, starting to try and attack over there. F times e4. I thought, let's try and get as much of everything onto the dark squares. I'm down a bishop. Is it at all possible that I can maybe play on the dark squares and render his light bishop not so useful? He's developing, getting ready to come and attack. Pawn pyramid on the dark squares. He goes on the light. So the pawns are on the dark squares, and I've got a little bit of coverage on the light squares from that knight, and even a small threat on his e-pawn, currently protected by only the one piece. Working to make some sort of a bit of a fortress over here. He's moved his queen. It's going to allow his rook to try and come in, perhaps. But let's try and get the rooks off. I got the rooks off. If I can get the queens off, then his light squared bishop, I feel, is a lot more powerful while he's still got a queen on the board. I think there's some truth to that. Okay. So bringing the queen back in to protect the base of the pawn chain, which he just threatened with his queen. Well done to my opponent spotting this next move. And it's given us a brilliancy. I find briefly the computer was calling d times e5, taking that offered knight, a good move. I could see nothing but badness coming from it. If I take his knight and he moves his pawn forward to threaten my knight, at the same time checking my king, and his pawn that's moved forward is also threatening that knight. If he took it, maybe I could take that knight, but then on the other hand, he's one square from... It just looked bad. And we've got king g8 and king f8. There's not much between the three moves, from 5 to 5.13. Which did I play, g8 or f8? I played f8. So I didn't want a discovered check. So now the threat on his knight's real, and he's got to move his knight. He's moved it. It's threatening the queen. And I've got a knight covering it. Let's get rid of the knights. Again, my only hope was very much to try and get everything else off, so it's two bishops versus one bishop, and have his bishop not mean much. And it probably won't stay that way, but in terms of pawns, it's not that one-sided at all. So, yeah, let's get the queens off. And I probably should have. I was thinking let's get the queens off, but then I think it's not given by the computer as a good move. But I do believe that for what I was trying to achieve, I probably should have taken his queen with mine there. But I didn't. Instead, I now have two pieces to... I think I was thinking he'll take my queen and I'll take his queen, and then my knight can jump in here. It's going all down a path that he doesn't need to go down. I could have got the queens off without him having any choice in the matter. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Didn't. And so he's moved his queen away. Now he's threatening my queen, and that little line I was hoping for is just not available. So I've had to shift my queen. He threatens my queen again. I move back. Could I be so lucky? Is this going to repeat? No. And he didn't put his queen in there either, which I would have then taken. But now he's got two pieces on the base of my pawn chain there, the queen and the knight. It's a bit sad that the king's having to use his powers to be one of the two defenders. Moved his knight away. I can move my king away. Now there's only the queen attacking it. But I saw a little bit of hope. What if I can infiltrate, especially with this pawn here? If I can get my queen going check, 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 there, that might be my draw. And from here, if things don't go too badly, and I can see he's going to have at least one check. The initial thing I saw was checking here. King has to go there. I can take the knight. And then it's just a few too many moves. And then into that. If only I could be given, well, I would get the check for sure, but 1, 2, 3 moves. But yeah, that's all assuming I don't get checkmated in the meantime. So he does play the first check. King e7, well, best, as in it doesn't have a plus M on it. So I've played it, knowing that, or half expecting and dreading that one, which he's played. Blocked with the knight. He's taken the bishop, which is not a check, so I now have... Oh, it's interesting. The queen a1 is mate in 21. And that's the move where that knight is so strong. I do get to take the knight. Queen a1 is mate in 21. h5 of all things is mate in 18. Queen just taking the bishop is plus 12.7. But just out of morbid curiosity, let's play... That was mate in 9. So we'll go back. And the move I did play, check, got the knight. So it really is just kicking and screaming a little more. Tried to move the king out of the way to protect the knight, in a sense. But Would have only really worked if he'd taken the knight initially instead of shifting the king away. Check. And I really needed that queen to have any hope at all. And it's at that point I shook my opponent's hand and said, well done. Move 43. But it really... So again, coming back, no blunders or misses, bit of a mistake, the inaccuracies. Playing at 81% isn't that bad, but very, very much I needed to build that castle. But the message to self is white is throwing enough stuff at the queen side. I can't make him play that, and he's got the pieces there to break through. Very much if I castle, let's just go through a few moves of what the green arrow puts. Remember that bishop would have been in trouble if that. The typical after castling. I would likely... it ended up being the best one. And the game's going on with that less than +1 because of the extra space. And that was the way to go. Seeing the white attack on the queen side, castling king side, usual defensive setup, and then fighting for it there. So that was quite the interesting game and a few lessons learned by the Mathematical KM. I'll talk to you all next time.